She told me earlier, Terry, that you was asking her back. Just look at this place. Put those shoe things away, love. And I don't know what to feed her on.
Don't worry, ma'am, and don't bother with that. We won't be in here anyway.
Oh, the front room, is it? With serviettes? Well, you'll not get our dad in there. The illness is Doctor Who.
And welcome to From the Archive, a British television vlog. My name is Greg Bakken, and as you probably know, it's been a while since I've made one of these videos. I've been spending a lot of time making the Doctor Who on BBC Video series, which I'm very proud of and I enjoy. But these DVD Blu-ray reviews have kind of fallen by the wayside. But something came my way about a week ago. Someone sent me something, and I really wanted to talk about it and talk about why releases like this are so important. And it's about a series that I don't think I would have ever expected to be talking about, because it just is a series that exists, and I've watched episodes and I've really enjoyed it. But this release has shown me and reminded me of the importance of a lot of things, and I hope to be able to convey that in an intelligent way throughout this review. What I'm going to be talking about today is the Likely Lads complete collection. This is the 60th anniversary edition. The series started in 1964. 60 years ago. Unbelievable, right? I mean, just incredible. And this is encompasses everything from the series, from the black and white original Likely Lads to the color episodes of whatever happened to the Likely Lads. We'll get into all that in a second. For those of you who are not familiar with the series The Likely Lads, The Likely Lads was a series that was created and written by Dick Clement and Ian LaFreniere, produced by Dick Clement back in the day, and it ran from 1964 to 1966. Now, only out of 21 episodes, which I'm not sure if that's the right number or not. I'll explain why I'm confused in a minute. Only 10 episodes exist as video, as not even video, as film prints, right? As telerecordings. And it stars James Bolam and Rodney Bewes. James plays Terry. Rodney plays Bob. They are best friends. They've known each other pretty much their whole lives. They do everything together. And the Likely Lads center around these two guys who are working class. They work in factories. They work together. And I think it's a very pure snapshot of what it would have been like working in the UK, working class, in a good situation in working class, and having to live with their parents, having to struggle with some money, having to kind of figure money out when they're trying to decide, if they're taking out girls or whatever else. And I think it's done in a funny way. And it's done in a humorous way, but it's not forced. It's not unbelievable setups. The comedy is just very good. And what I found interesting in one of the extras that we're going to be talking about tonight, the writers are interviewed and they cite some contemporaries again, in a sense. They cite Galton and Simpson. And they don't. I would have thought they would have cited in particular Steptoe and Son, but in fact they cite Hancock. And this is important because that's the kind of comedy that it is. It's not over the top, but it's good, and it's really funny. So it's a fantastic series. But like I said, it ran for 3 series, and then it came back in 1973 as Whatever Happened to Likely Lads. And it's a fantastic sequel to the original series. and very different. It's once again, it's a fantastic snapshot of what could happen when you have two best friends, and over a course of 7 years, even though they say it's 5 in the series, what happens to them as they drift apart? And you might be wondering, well, how do they drift apart? Well, you gotta get the DVD box set to know about that to understand that, and that's a lot of fun. There's a lot missing in the Likely Lads. There are 10 episodes missing. There is nothing missing in Whatever Happened to the Likely Lads. It was made between 73 and 74, and all the episodes exist on their 2-inch videotape. So what do you do with the episodes that are missing on here? And you might be like, well, it says it's a complete collection. Every episode of the Likely Lads is represented on this set, whether it's visually, whether it's through audio recordings done by a viewer at the time of broadcast. And we've certainly, this is not new. We've run into this quite a bit, especially if you're a Doctor Who fan. You know that 110 million episodes were recorded on just audio only. For those that don't exist in that way, you have also from the radio show that was done in 1967 and 1968 with the scripts. Funny enough, the scripts are adapted by James Bolam, who plays Terry. I find that very interesting. I find that very nice, actually, because over time, I don't think he talks a whole lot about the Likely Lads. Certainly him and Rodney Bewes had a falling out, a number of years ago. Now Rodney had passed. So it's definitely, it's definitely fun to see what he was really enthusiastic about it, though, and not that this is the point of the video. I do believe that James Bolam is always somebody tends to look forward and not back in his career. So that might have something to do with it as well. Now, we're going to get into how all this is done in the release, but I want to step back for a second, because this series was released on videotape, and not the whole series. From what I can tell, only 3 episodes had been released on VHS back in 1996. Now, if any of you out there who collected these back in the day, if you understood there to be more VHSs of the Likely Lads, not Whatever Happened to the Likely Lads, I'd be curious to know. But what I could find is there is a release out there that has episode 1, I think that's actually episode 4, Older Women Are More Experienced, and then oddly, the last episode of the series, Goodbye to All That. And it's just a very interesting set of episodes. They're all very good. And that was released, like I said, in 1996. I find it interesting, though, because myself being a massive fan of the VHSs back in the day, this is actually one of them I did not collect. In fact, I don't even know if I was really all that aware of the Likely Lads until a documentary in 1999. And I think that's where it's from. It might be a different documentary. It might even be Missing Believed Wiped on BBC4 in 2002. One of them talked about the episode Last of the Big Spenders that was returned, and I believe that was returned by Kaleidoscope. And there was a clip on it because Wendy Richard is in it as well. That's something else about Likely Lads. There's a lot of great guest stars in this set. A lot of great guest stars in these episodes. And a number of them that you see in shows later on, you get to see them rather, a lot younger. Of course, you get Annika Wills is in it as well in one of the episodes. And, it's right not too far around the time of her doing so much stuff in the 60s that she doesn't look very different in it, but it's always good to see her. So there's a lot of great names that you can look out for when you're watching this. But so you have that VHS, right? And then I'm not quite sure how this all worked, because obviously it was released on DVD. And when I got this a number of years ago, it was a small box set that had the original Likely Lads DVD of the episodes that existed at the time, and then the DVD set of each series of whatever happened to the Likely Lads, the complete series here. I also find very interesting about this DVD in particular is one of the things that it says on the bottom is, and new to DVD, the classic 1965 episode, The Other Side of the Fence, which must have been something that was recently found, relatively speaking, for the time that this was done. It looks like, if I can read the small writing, this was 2006. To the point, though, that it is out of order on the release itself, like you could read this, but it's out of order. So after the final episode, Goodbye to All That, which is a final episode, it goes to The Other Side of the Fence. So, it's just interesting. And so this was the most current release. None of these had any extras on it. It was something that I don't think that was really ever thought about. And, when I was thinking about this release, I'm also thinking about the evolution of us as viewers and what our expectations are. Back in 1996, we're just wanting to see, for example, episodes of The Likely Lads because maybe they weren't being broadcast, and there's a VHS of 3 of them. It's enough to whet your appetite. In 2006, you get a DVD. They're better quality, and there's more episodes. Now, as we get to 2024, we want more. We want stuff from the archive. We want stuff to be maybe remastered a little bit. So that's where we are now with this, and that's why it's so important. And I want to really kind of get on my soapbox about this, if I may, a little bit. So the quality of the episodes, and let's only talk about the Likely Lads at the moment. I don't want to talk about whatever happened to the Likely Lads. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's just talk about the Likely Lads. The episodes are restored to a certain level. They're not restored to the level of Doctor Who. The way that I look at it, and I mean this in high praise, they're not restored to the level of the black and white episodes of Dad's Army, but they're not to the level of black and white Steptoe and Son. Matter of fact, they're much closer to the Dad's Army, but there's certain things that I would guess that that budget did not have room for. Likely Lads is a great series from the 60s, but ultimately it's no Dad's Army when it comes to the perception, the audience perception, and what they want. For Likely Lads to get any sort of attention to it at all, in my mind, seems pretty incredible. So with that, there is no vidfire on the Likely Lads, on the episodes, the black and white episodes. I am okay with that. I am very okay with it. The quality is very good, very enjoyable. I love how it looks. And what I think is important about the quality of the episodes is that the work that's done across all the black and white episodes is consistent. The original release, they're all very, they were watchable, completely watchable on this release. But what would happen is that maybe one episode would have blacks that are more crushed, and things like there just needed to be a little bit of work done to make it a little bit more consistent across all the episodes. On the forum I go to, someone posted some comparison shots between the old release and the new release. And honestly, those comparison shots make it look like that the new release episodes don't look very good at all, in my opinion. And that's not true. They look very good. You'll watch them and you're not, I for one, don't look at it and be like, oh, I don't know what's going on here. I look at it and I'm like, this looks really good. Some episodes do look better than others, but generally they're very consistent. take a look at the end of my video, because I'll do my normal video comparisons and you can see for yourself. Granted, we have YouTube compression and that doesn't help anything, but I think you'll be able to get an idea about it. And, when originally I kept trying to talk myself out of getting this release, or at least not getting it for a while, because this is, it's like, I don't know, is there enough on here for me to want to do this? And with the extras that we'll be talking about, there is. Now, one last thing about VidFire, if you'd indulge me for a moment, is that I think we all have our different thresholds when it comes to TV series and the type of restoration we want. Something like The Likely Lads, I am impressed, happy, grateful for any restoration, any work done on this. And the extras that are included on here are also I'm very grateful for those as well. Something like Year of the Sex Olympics, something like the 1984. Both of those are BFI releases. Those, in my mind, should have been vid-fired. And I'm very disappointed that they weren't. It doesn't stop me from buying them. It doesn't stop me from supporting them. Because I can see from a historical point of view why you could go either way with applying that. And and I don't even bring Doctor Who into the equation because that's a different stratosphere altogether, right? So we don't even talk about that. When it comes to the extras, though, there's a lot of good things here. Once again, we're not talking about whatever happened to Likely Lads. We're just going to keep it to the Likely Lads. First of all, let's take a look at the packaging itself. It's appropriately sized set. I mean, this is just really nice. I mean, right, these three already is just a little bit bigger than this. It's amazing what the evolution of the DVD and Blu-ray packaging has become on our sets. You might see a little bit of wear and tear on my set already. Honestly, I'm amazed that I have this. It was sent to me from the UK. The box that it arrived in had 2 holes in it the size of this set. I'm surprised I didn't get an empty box. I don't know if they put it through the bomb squad and they tried to explode it. I don't know what happened. It's here. So the fact that it looks this good at all is nothing short than amazing. And it is you pull it out, right? And you have the set itself. There's a disc behind here. This is a little booklet, and you have all of this right here. This is the Likely Lads. And then this set here, this is all the 2 series of whatever happened to the Likely Lads. So once again, very nice, very compact. I love the cover for this. It's simple. Back in the day, this was the standard BBC house look where you have that gradient behind the photo. Very easy to do. Once I figured out how to do it in 2005, I was doing it to all my British television releases. It's not a good look. But this is very nice. I really like this. And so for the Likely Lads, the extras on the Likely Lads, first of all, you have commentaries. Not in every episode. If I have this correct, you have 3 commentaries with at least the writers. Across, I think 1 each series, and they're all presented with Toby Haydock. And, once again, and the last one, you certainly want to listen to that one when they're talking about the end of the series. Very archival, very important. The writers of this, Dick and Ian, they're in their 80s. And this is, we got to cherish them for as long as we can, right? Something right away that I didn't even expect, I didn't even know about, is that there is a Christmas Night with the Stars. And this Christmas Night with the Stars aired 2 weeks after the start of the series. So right away, it's kind of special because all, normally Christmas Night of the Stars, these are established series that we're coming back to see, some special episodes of our favorite shows. And this has only been on for a fortnight, as they say. And this is right away I didn't expect this. I didn't even know it was on the set. So this takes place, this is basically a third episode. I think this is where we come up with 21 episodes. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I did not see it that way, but I got my episode numbering from Wikipedia, so you never know what to expect from that. But they're calling, I don't think it's a full length, but it's very cool, and it has, the opening to Christmas Night of the Stars. It has the introduction by Jack Warner, and you might know Jack Warner from such things as Dixon of Dock Green. And so, one of the big stars of the BBC back in the day. Really, really cool stuff. And it's not on this. It's not on this one at all. Like I said, this is the evolution of us watching, right? That we're just happy to have it digitally. Now we have smart people who are culling the archives to get unique material for us. So you have that. That's part of the first series. Once again, what I didn't know was on the second series. For the second series, the last episode of the series, the episode is titled "Where Have All the Flowers Gone?" It exists as a full episode, as an recorded off air at the time of broadcast. But then you have an option to click and look at what does exist film-wise from different sources. It's just a couple minutes. It's not long at all. I cherish that. I really do. That could have easily just been like, well, it's only 2 minutes. Can't really do much with it. Well, no, they did quite a bit with it. I am grateful for it. Any fan, any archival television fan has to love that, okay? You truly must. I don't think there's any two ways about it. So I am so grateful for that. On the third disc, where Series 3 is, a lot of it's missing. So it has more room for other things on there. For example, an introduction by James Bolam. And that's how it is on the menu, introduction by James Bolam. I don't know the ins and outs of how much James Bolam talked about the Likely Lads. So I'm thinking I'm going to click on it, and it's maybe some quick video taped introduction from the 1990s or something, when he would maybe still talk about it, and he could introduce the program, whatever he's introducing. To my surprise, I click on it. It's black and white, and it's from 1969. The music that's used is what I think of with Comedy Playhouse, and there's James Bolam in, getting ready for some stage production or something, and he's looking very mature in 1969 with a very stylish mustache, and he's introducing the final episode of the series, and which is Goodbye to All That. And it's such a wonderful, just a little wonderful piece of archival history that was found and was included for our enjoyment. After that, it continues to get more amazing stuff, including The Lively Arts, The Unlikely Lads, Melvin Bragg. This is 1976, and Melvin is out in Hollywood as he is interviewing the two writers, Dick Clement and Ian LaFrennesse, and talking to them in Hollywood about their writing career. And what's cool about this is that he's talking about the Likely Lads. He's talking about whatever happened to Likely Lads. And he's talking about this other show that they're doing called Porridge with Ronnie Barker and Richard Beckinsale. And what makes it even more fun is that there's a second set of interviews, and there he's interviewing, Melvin Bragg is interviewing Richard Beckinsale as well in the same room with Rodney Buse. And there's an episode from the original Likely Lads where it's called Rocker, and Rodney Buse is learning to ride a motorbike. Not Rodney Buse, more like Bob. He's learning to ride a motorbike, and at the end of the episode, he puts on this overly oversized big helmet. Good to know that in this special, The Lively Arts, The Unlikely Lads, he still wears that helmet, but instead he puts hair on it. All right, so that's his hairstyle. Okay, well, Rodney, what are you thinking? That's incredible. That's shocking, actually. That I don't know how high that's sitting off the top of your head. Special features and him and Richard Beckinsale together. It's a lot of fun. It's what a wonderful piece of archival television once again to be included. There's also the Likely Lads on Film 76. Barry Norman just talks a little bit about it, just a small excerpt, but it's fun to see at the same time. It's one of those things that really completes the overall experience of this series, or both series. More memories from the Likely Lads. These are kind of offcuts of the commentaries with the two writers. It's just nice to have. It's just a lot of fun. And then there's also Whatever Happened to Dick Clement and Ian Lafreniere. This is from 2010. That's presented by Matthew Sweet. That's nice that is on there as well. There's a photo gallery, and once again, it's like, I'm not going to click on a photo gallery. I did, and it's very good. Great music, and I've always loved the theme to Whatever Happened to Likely Lads, and that takes up a big part of it, and it's worth it. So good. And then with that, we also have the 4 releases the 4 discs to the 2 series of Whatever Happened to Likely Lads. So I'm going through the booklet here, and they have credits here, which are fantastic. And on there, there is Jonathan Wood is listed there for Whatever Happened to Likely Lads, restoration colorist. Now, this is where I'm a little confused because... And that I mentioned that forum that I was on that had the comparison shots. They had one for Whatever Happened to Likely Lads, and they're like, well, it looks like it's a little bit more sharp. Putting in the discs, I thought that the menu was the same as what was released on these. I thought it was just a port over. So the fact that there was any sort of restoration done to also Whatever Happened to Likely Lads, that's just bonus, in my opinion. And I apologize for not knowing that any better. I've been focused on the black and white ones, but I've watched these more so on here. So I'm kind of surprised that I didn't know it. I think one of the downfalls, though, to Whatever Happened to Likely Lads on the DVDs, regardless of whether or not that they were restored or not, there's a lot of episodes on each disc. And as it is, it takes up 4 discs. There's more episodes made of Whatever Happened to Likely Lads than there were of the Likely Lads. You get to some of the episodes, you can see the MPEG artifacting on it. I notice it more towards like the end of an episode, like at the end of the disc. So I don't know. I don't think there's a good solution to that because you're not going to make, 5 discs of Whatever Happened to the Likely Lads. You're going to do 4. I mean, it makes the most sense. So that is important. So I might have Whatever Happened to Likely Lads wrong. It wouldn't be a deterrent to get it because if it was a port over, because it's just fine. But apparently work had been done on it, which is something I didn't really know about it. This is a Region 2 and Region 4 DVD set, and it is has subtitles, and of course everything is presented in its proper 4:3 aspect ratio. If it didn't, we wouldn't even be having a conversation, right? I want to get on a soapbox, though, if I may, for a moment. This DVD set was produced by Charles Norton. You may remember Charles from such programs as putting together the animation for, being a part of the animation for stuff like Power of the Daleks, Shada, Dad's Army, and, overseeing it. And then, of course, 2 years ago now, He was the producer on the release of Morecambe and Wise: The Lost Tapes, which is, in my opinion, one of the best archival DVD releases of all time. And once again, I don't include Doctor Who with this stuff because that's just a different beast and has just so many different people working on so many different things over there. We're blessed to have that. But we're blessed to have Charles Norton. We're blessed to have people like Richard Lotto. We're blessed to have people like Russell Minton. These people who I would suspect, and I think there's more than just that. There's, you know, you have, and I'm just going to be honest here, you're going to have executive producer Rebecca Richmond on here. So, I mean, it's not just one person working on it. Andrew Martin is, the archive consultant. Jonathan Wood is the, he's working on Whatever Happened to the Likely Lads. I'm going to email him and I'm going to ask him what he worked on with that. So if I hear back soon before this video is released, or I could do a follow-up, just let you know, because I've spoken with him before. I really want to implore all of us, if we can support these ranges, these releases, and even if we're not fans of the show, and I don't mean if you don't like it at all, you should still get it, but if you are into archival television, if you're into a release that takes a bunch of different sort of media to put together to create one piece so we could have everything together. If you've ever been interested in a program and you're like, okay, this sounds interesting. Oh my gosh, they put together a wonderful release. I asked you to please consider picking up, because the more we support these releases, I think the more that we have a possibility of getting. I mean, it just stands to reason. It doesn't mean that they have a bunch ready to go and they're waiting for us to, appreciate or whatever. There might not be anything ready to go or anything ever again. I don't know. But I think that the work that these people are putting into these releases is a step beyond just throwing them onto a disc and putting them out there. That there is a lot of research, a lot of work to put these out. And I know I'm speaking to the choir on this, but, it goes beyond Doctor Who. It goes beyond Ep.7. Please consider supporting these, because, if someone would have said, Likely Lads is going to get this really spruced up release, I'd be like, I don't know. And I don't blame people. Might be like, oh, that's interesting. It's just not, it's not my favorite. This is an incredible release. This is really well done on every level, and I'm very happy to have it. At some point, I'll release my video of the Morecambe and Wise release, but it's so daunting. I actually had Charles Norton help me tell me where stuff came from, because it's so detailed and it's so much, and it was daunting to me because I didn't want to get it wrong. And as an American, sometimes being able to talk about something like Morecambe and Wise seems pretty kind of churlish in a way, because, like, who am I to talk about one of the greats of British comedy? Because there's so much respect for that. But I will get there. I will release that, because there's so much information that if you don't have it, or if you do have it, just like with the Likely Lads, that you're just going to be like, gosh, that's a lot of work for something that the average punter, if you will, isn't going to even know about. They're just going to look at it and be like, oh, okay, that's cool. You found this stuff. Nice. It's incredible. And so I just want to say I appreciate that work by all of them. I hope you consider supporting. I hope this release, or not this release, this review helps you to consider picking it up, because I'd love to get a couple people to be like, okay, yeah, you swayed me. Because I certainly was of the opinion myself, I wasn't going to get this at least anytime soon. and I'm just being super honest about it. And my opinion has changed 360 degrees. This is a cherished set now. I absolutely love this. So I hope that you consider picking this up. Why don't we do this? I want to take a look at the quality. Like I said, when I looked at those screen grabs, it didn't do a whole lot for me. Watching the actual episodes, they are really nice looking. There are some film damage still in it. Like I said, it's not the restoration that you're going to get for, season 1 of Doctor Who. You're going to get something, though, that makes everything look very nice. And it's, now that this restoration has happened, the BBC archive has nicer quality episodes of The Likely Lads. So please support. Let's take a look at the quality. We'll show a couple shots. What we're going to really look at is going to be just the difference between this and this. All right, that's all we're going to look at. I'm not even going to do whatever happened to Likely Lads because I don't understand what I'm talking about here because that surprises me. But we're going to take a look right now.
By the time I've unwrapped all this, I'll have lost my appetite.
Hey, I wouldn't have minded a swift half. There's one thing about being back, we'll get a decent drop of beer tonight.
Yeah, well, we can't afford a beer. Not unless the pubs take pesetas. We'll have to do overtime this week.
Aye. Hey, look at the time. Old Darby will just be doing his rounds.
Aren't you going to lunch, Bob?
What? Oh, no, I don't usually have lunch myself. I'm not a big eater.
Really? I always prefer just to stay here now.
And then I also want to kind of just be very transparent. A couple of the missing episodes or recently recovered episodes from, what would that be, 2019 or whatever it was. And the episodes are Stars Born and Faraway Places. They are on Blu-ray, if this is even still available, on the Likely Lads film Blu-ray that Network put out a number of years ago. I mean, they're on this DVD set. They look amazing. I'm not going to lie. If I have a Blu-ray source or HD source, I'm probably going to go with it, even if it's a tele-recording of a 1960s. This must still be 405 line. Just how I am. What do I think about this release? Obviously, I highly recommend it. I'd even go as far as asking you all, if you get the release and you like it, try to drop a line to the BBC, to the DVD Inquiry, and ask them, just first of all, say that you got it, that you got this release, that you liked it, and that you'd like more of the kind. If you didn't like it, just keep it to yourself. Don't email anyone. But if you do like it, I think you should let them know, because I think so many people hear about the bad stuff, they never hear about the good stuff. And I think one way to ensure that we can continue getting the good stuff is by letting them know we liked it. One series that pops to the top of my head that I'd love to see a new release for, because so much has been returned since the Simply DVD release of Hugh and I. There's a lot. And like Kaleidoscope, I think they returned 2 episodes. Richard Lotto returned an episode. I returned an episode from UCLA. They've been sitting there for decades, and I was able to negotiate it back to the BBC. That's cool. Not that I did that. I mean, that is cool. But it's cool that could be another fantastic release of a great series. There's so many. And I suggest, if you do write to them, give them some suggestions. It wouldn't hurt. If you liked what I'm doing, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm hoping to do a lot more in 2025 because I have a lot to say. And I'm even planning on bringing back my podcast, From the Archive, a British television podcast. Look for that in March or so. And also, some of you may know me also from doing my Doctor Who on BBC video series. The most current one that we have at the time of recording is The Two Doctors. Now, you might be like, if you watch this right away, you might be like, I haven't seen that one. That's because it's on Patreon. It's a Patreon exclusive at the moment. It'll find its way in an edited form on YouTube at some point. But I do have a Patreon. And I do ask people to consider being a part of it because we do a lot of stuff. I have a lot of archival stuff I post there, a lot of radio times, a lot of other different things. And it starts as low as $3 a month. And especially once I get the podcast going, I really hope that people consider subscribing. It helps immensely. So please consider doing so. And then if you don't do so, just know, I mean, obviously I'd really appreciate it if we get some more subscribers, but just know I appreciate all of you. I do not want to make anyone who has been there for me throughout the years, maybe not financially, but been sharing, responding, putting comments in the comments section. You're important as well. Please know that. Here are the people who subscribe to my Patreon. So we have a lot of great things coming up. This release is well worth it, folks. Please pick it up. Please consider letting other people know about it, and watch and enjoy. I spent a weekend watching all things Likely Lads, and I didn't get tired of it one bit. In fact, I'm having a little bit of withdrawals, actually, of them right now as we speak. So please consider picking up, watching. Consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. And also, one last thing. If I got anything wrong, send me an email. Put it in the comments. Just be polite about it. I know enough about this stuff, but I don't know everything. And I learn with all of you. So as far as this release, it's time to put it on the shelf and get started in the next one.